Hey, what's up guys? I'm right now in the Akihabara UDX Parking. There is practically not a lot of bikes or cars, itasha and itansha as you put it. Even though it's a Saturday, I heard that on the weekends they would cluster at least 10 to 20 vehicles, and on good days would be 50. But I've probably only seen about less than 10, probably about 8 to 9. Behind me is a cleaning station, and there are quite a few nice looking bikes behind. We have a Honda Magna, and of course right behind me is a very famous Suzuki Katana 400. Of course the 1135 Yoshimura Katana isn't here. I couldn't find one, and the guy behind me, the mechanic behind me, didn't say that there was one. I guess the 1135 Yoshimura is also a very rare bike in Japan, I would say. So on a good day, probably if you do come down, maybe you can eke out about 10, 20 vehicles to see, but this shouldn't take more than, I guess, a 10-20 minute jaunt through the car park, take a few shots and off you go. There really isn't much to see. Do enjoy a couple of shots that I've compiled of the various bikes and cars that I've seen throughout this weekend. Despite being lackluster compared to its heyday quite a few years ago, if you are interested in coming to Tokyo for some motorcycle shopping, motorcycle accessories and stuff, well, northeast of Ueno district there is a northeast of Ueno station. In fact, there is a district that sells a lot of motorcycle clothing, gear, accessories. They range anywhere from helmets, jackets, boots, gloves, pants, a lot of stuff. Do they price competitively compared to, say, in Singapore? No, I don't really think so. In fact, when I was shopping around, the prices weren't much different than if I were to buy my stuff online, or let's say from a Singaporean store. The range in Ueno also is pretty limited right now. It used to be a lot more vibrant back in at least 2012, 2010, but in the last few years, what used to be Corin Street has pretty much gone under as businesses got bought out due to a lack of interest in motorcycles in general. However, if you do want to look for stuff like Arai helmets, I guess this is the best place to get them, because they do sell them by the boatloads off the shelf. Shoei as well, so RS Taichi, that sort of thing. They do seem pretty much a fair value, but if you were to consider the prices, I don't think they are worth paying that amount over here in Japan. It's not really, trust me, it's not that much cheaper if you were in Singapore and bought them off the shelf at, say, I don't know, Regina Specialties, for example. However, what you can find around this district is quite a number of, I would say, pretty old, pretty interesting UJM style motorcycles. They do sell stuff like the Super Bulldor, the CB1300. That's pretty rare in Singapore, even though Singapore has the CB400 Super 4, but you know, the CB1300 in Singapore is pretty rare. So you can see those kinds of motorcycles here. There was even a Kawasaki H2 that I saw along the streets here. So walking around, you kind of are able to do a bit of spotting of like pretty rare motorcycles that you wouldn't see in whatever country you came from, especially if you're from Singapore. Because in Singapore in general, I realized that we don't have many unique bikes above the 400cc range. But over here, you sort of get quite a lot of those. And they are really done up quite nicely. Most of the owners do take care of their bikes here compared to Singapore, I guess. So right now I'm at the Tokyo Bayshore route somewhere nearby. Probably you know this place by the Wangan Road from Wangan Midnight fame. So the real reason why all the motorcycle shops in Ueno's Motorcycle Street actually kind of failed eventually was because of department stores, namely Ricoland and Naps. So Japan kind of figured out that rather than have all these individual shops, why not have something like these? Basically, department stores akin to Mustafa. So yeah, we are talking about entire department buildings filled with motorcycle goods, and pretty much being the Mustafa of motorcycle gear. So I was at Ricoland, and you can see why they pretty much took over the entire motorcycling industry. You know, sales of stuff and everything like that. They sold everything from gear to parts. You don't even get to buy parts in a department store for motorcycles in Singapore. So they have department stores that sell you parts directly. And not only that, they did rentals. They sold bikes. They even have a service pit with mechanics to service your bike. So pretty much everything you could possibly want in a single location for your motorcycle was in these department stores, and that is the real reason why Ueno and their motorcycle shops failed. Because if you wanted to say buy gear, you had to go to one shop. You want to get your bike serviced, you had to go to another shop. If you want to get a new bike, you had to go to another shop, do your insurance in another shop. But Ricoland Naps does everything in one building. It's utterly convenient. Not to mention that prices are slightly lower here. Of course, the prices for most stuff isn't as cheap as if you were to buy it in Singapore or Malaysia. But you know, to the average Japanese, you know, if you were gonna compare purchasing your stuff from, say, Ricoland, Naps, or one of those individual shops that you found on Ueno's Motorcycle Street, I think the comparison is pretty obvious. You want to go to Ricoland because they're slightly cheaper. I mean, they bought in bulk and all that. So that's pretty much the whole reason why nowadays you really can't find those unique individual stores owned by individual store owners nowadays in Japan. And I kind of think that's that it's lost a bit of that identity, lost a bit of that uniqueness to motorcycling culture here. I mean, yeah, sure, you do get a bit more convenience in terms of shopping, in terms of pretty much a lot of things, but there's something lost in this transition. But I don't mind. I just personally, I bought a new mirror for my DRZ. As you know, I had that one underbar mirror, and I want to get another one to pair off and get rid of the top mirror on my left bar. So I bought one. You know, I couldn't find that in Singapore anywhere. And it was pretty hard to find it on the internet either. So that's where Ricoland comes in. It's so easy to find the things you want in one department store over here. So anyway, if you do enjoy my video, do give me a thumbs up, a like down in the section below. Of course, leave a comment, and of course, if you've not subscribed to me, do subscribe to my channel. I post regular content on motorcycles and stuff, and my motovlogs. So I'll see you in the next motovlog, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, bye.